Good morning and welcome to your yoga practice. It's good to have you here today. Today in class, we're going to be talking a little bit about the concept of pratyahara. It's one of the 8 limbs of yoga, essentially 8 paths or steps that can act as guidelines for helping you live a more meaningful and purposeful life. And pratyahara is the idea of creating an inner awareness. And we create that inner awareness by letting go of our other senses. It's sort of like acting like a sieve. It's not that those other things aren't happening around you, but they don't affect you. They just pass through the sieve. So if you hear something during class, if you see something during class, you just don't let it affect you. You just let it pass right through the sieve. I think of it as kind of like when we were kids and maybe we went underwater in a swimming pool. And just as we went underwater, our hearing got a little bit fuzzier, but we became more heightened in our other senses. Or perhaps you played a game as a child where you shut off your ears and you had to just look around and be able to see where you were going. So your sense of sight was a little more sharpened. Or perhaps you played a game where you had objects in a box and you had to feel the objects in the box and guess at what they were. Or maybe you did a blind taste test. So it's sort of like withdrawing all of the senses in pratyahara and going inside. I don't think of it as ignoring the senses that are there. It's just like letting them pass by so that those senses get a little bit more rest and you heighten your sense of self awareness. You can imagine it's sort of like being in a sensory deprivation chamber. Maybe you let your thoughts go by, but you don't get on the boat. Or you can imagine your thoughts as sensory distractions, maybe being wiped away like rain on a windshield. So even your thoughts, you don't get caught up in them or you let them go by. Think of it today as maybe a peaceful place for your yoga practice where you don't strive for results, you don't strive for the perfect downward facing dog or for a particular goal, but you just enjoy your practice and you enjoy being there. When you're ready, come to a good seated position on your mat. I'm going to be using a chair today. Now have a good seated position. Slide your sitting bones forward on the chair. Excellent. Open your sitting bones out. Maybe turn your inner thighs in and down. Instead of slouching, you lift your heart space. You maybe press your feet into the floor and grow an inch taller. Shoulders up to your ears, back towards the back of the room as they broaden and rest down again. Good. Hands can rest on your upper thighs. Maybe close your eyes or soften your gaze, tilt your chin down. And even here, you begin that sense of going inward, just checking in with yourself, scanning through the body and seeing how you're feeling. Just noticing, not dwelling on it, just letting go of that once you notice it. And then you begin to deepen your breaths, breathing in and out through the nose. And if you'd like to take Ujjayi breathing, feel free to do that. Ujjayi breathing is victorious breath. It's kind of like you would open your mouth and fog a pair of eyeglasses in front of you. And now keep that sensation, that sound, but close your lips down. Keep your eyes closed. Letting the sound of Ujjayi breathing draw you in. Maybe even soothe you like the ocean. Couple more rounds of Ujjayi breathing, then let that go. Return to your normal free flowing breath, but keep your eyes closed for another few moments. Maybe noticing how even moving the breath in such a manner can start to shift your awareness. Good. And then when you're ready, peep open your eyes. We're going to begin our practice today by doing 3 ohms together. So we'll bring our energy into the room. You'll take 2 deep breaths in, and then after the 3rd deep breath in, you'll exhale with your ohm. Let's do it together. Take a deep inhale in. Exhale that. Inhale in again. Exhale that. And after this next inhale, we ohm 3 times together. Inhale. Om. 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 Let that go. Bring your hands together in front of your heart space into prayer pose, Anjali Mudra. If it feels good for you today, set an intention for your practice based on the concept of going inward. Maybe just enjoy your practice today. Then when you're ready, press your palms together, seal that intention, release your hands. Let's start with a foot massage. So take your right leg over your left. Sorry, I'll mirror you. And rub through the sole of the foot, the toes, the mounds, maybe twist and pull each toe. Excellent. Interlace your fingers in between the toes. Maybe circle the ankle first in one direction. Good. And the other direction. Come on back to the center. Wiggle the foot. Bring it to a place of stillness. Spread your fingers, spread your toes. Release the hand, but keep those toes spread. Excellent. Stretch the top of the foot, pointing it towards the back of the room. Then flex it. Stretching the Achilles tendon, good. Give a good rub through the sole of the foot again, the heels, the mounds. Maybe grab a hold of your big toe mound, the little toe mound, not the toes, but the mound, the space behind the toes. Pull that foot apart, give it a good wiggle. Excellent. Release that, clap the foot, and give it a good paddle. Make a fist, gently tap the sole of the foot, starting to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. Wake the foot up a little bit. Grab a hold of the ankle, shake that foot out. Then grab a hold of the outer edge of the foot, open that hip up. Set that down, bring the head of the femur back into the hip socket, switch sides. Rubbing through the sole of the foot, the heels, the mounds, maybe twist and pull each toe. Good, you're doing a great job. Interlace the fingers in between the toes. Circle the ankle. Just enjoy how it feels. Circle in the other direction. You may notice that one side feels different than the other. That's okay. Come on back to the center. Give the foot a good wiggle. Then come to a place of stillness. Spread the fingers, spread the toes. Release the hand. Stretch the top of the foot. Good job. Then the bottom of the foot, flexing it. Good. Rub through the sole of the foot again, the heels, the mounds. Grab a hold of the big toe mound, little toe mound. Stretch the top of the foot apart. Give it a good wiggle. Release that. Clasp the foot and paddle it. Make a fist. Gently tap the sole of the foot. Excellent. Release that. Grab a hold of the ankle. Shake it out. And grab a hold of the outer edge of the foot. Open that hip up. Release that, set it back down, coming on back to the center. And we're going to start our class today in a standing position. For today's class, if you'd like, I recommend that you have a chair, a couple blocks if you'd like nearby, and maybe even a blanket or a rolled up towel or a small pillow. Come to a good standing position on your mat. You can remove the chair. You don't need that for a few minutes, but place it at the top of your mat. Come into Tadasana mountain pose, toes pointing straight ahead. Slight bend in the knees, shoulders up to your ears, back and broaden, tone the belly, lengthen the tailbone. Sweep those arms overhead. Grab a hold of the right wrist with your left hand. I am mirroring you. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, lean towards the right, getting a side stretch. Pause here. Breathe in and out. And come on back to the center. Separate your hands, switch sides. You grab a hold of the left wrist with your right hand. You inhale, lengthen. You exhale, lean towards the other side. Shoulders away from the ears. We're not collapsing the upper spine. Breathe in and out. And come on back to the center. Release the left hand down to your side body. Grow long through the right arm. Lean. So just notice that even taking a side stretch with a different arm placement can feel different in your body. Come on back to the center. Switch sides. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, lean to the side. Come on back to the center, both arms overhead, shoulders away from the ears. You can keep one of those two prior arms, or we're going to add up. So inhale, lengthen, exhale, lean, keeping those arms separated. Can you take that lower arm and reach it long towards the side wall? Upper arm reaches towards the space where the ceiling and the wall meet. Couple deep breaths here. Good, that looks great. Come on back to the center. Shoulders away from the ears. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, lean in the other direction. Good, reach that lower arm down. Can you take it parallel to the floor? Reach those fingertips long. Take the top arm, reach it towards the space where the ceiling and the wall meet. Tone the belly, lengthen the tailbone. Good. Breathe in and out. Then come on back to the center. Release those arms down. Maybe roll your shoulders towards the back of the room and roll them towards the front of the room. Good. Excellent. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see me. We're going to bend our knees. Shift your weight back towards your heels so you're not collapsed forward. Your weight's going back towards the back of the room. Put your hands on the tops of your knees, and we're just going to allow ourselves to do a standing cat-cow. So you're going to inhale and bring your belly forward while your chest and your sitting bones go back. And you're going to exhale and arch the spine. Do that a few times. If it's too much standing, you can sit on your chair and do it. So it's a standing or a seated cat-cow. Good. Go slow. Make it feel good for you. And come on back to the center. Good. You're going to turn towards your chair. Excellent. And we're going to start with a standing series. I'll show you what we're going to do, and then we'll work on it together. So we're going to start with leaning down, placing our hands on the chair. So we're in sort of an L position. I am not mirroring you right now. I'm going to take my real right leg back. I'm going to activate, and I'm going to lift that right leg off the floor. Take the opposite arm forward. And then we're going to release it down. We're going to switch sides. So we'll do the same thing on the other side. Then what we're going to do together is take the same arm, same leg, lift both those. So you're in a modified warrior 3. From here, we're going to release the top hand, open that hip out, and come to a half moon pose. Then we'll close everything down, come back to the center. Shall we do it together? Good, excellent. Walk towards your chair. Your hands can be on the top of the chair or on the seat, yogi's choice. If your hands are on the seat, step your hips back. Make your torso parallel to the floor. Good, so you're in an L position. Good. Slide the toes of the left foot back on the mat. Take the slack out of that leg so both knees are straight. When you're ready, press that foot towards the back of the room, lift it, flex the foot. Your hips are facing down, so square your hips off. Take a couple deep breaths in and out. You can lift that leg higher if you'd like. Shift your weight into that standing leg so your hip is over your ankle. Opposite arm goes forward, framing the ear. Breathe in and out. Can you be light on those lower fingertips? I know, right? Couple more deep breaths in and out, then release the arm, release the leg. Walk towards the chair, shake it out. Excellent. Come back to your L position. And we repeat that same thing on the other side. So you start with taking the toes of the left foot back. Good. Then you're going to inhale, lift that leg off the floor. Height is not what I'm interested in. I'm more interested in, can you hinge at the hip creases and get balance? Reach that opposite arm overhead so the right arm comes overhead. Your ear is in line with your upper arm. Tone your belly. Breathe in and out. Can you lift that leg a little bit higher? Good. Bend the arm, bend the leg. Come back to center. Walk towards the chair. Shake your hips out a little bit. And we're going to repeat that this time with the same arm, same leg. So same sequence. We're just going to open up with same arm, same leg. First, the hips are going to be squared off. And then we're going to open the hips for a modified half moon pose. Ready? You walk your hands back onto the chair. Walk your feet back so you're in an L pose. You breathe in and out. You let your senses come to the mat. You don't worry about the external things that are going on. Just notice how your body feels. Slide the toes of the right foot back on the mat. Lift the leg. Now walk the fingertips of the right hand forward. Can you lift that arm? Keep the hips squared off. You'll notice you're wobbling in that standing leg. That's good. That's fine. You're working on massaging the foot, building strength and balance. Excellent. Can you reach back a little bit farther with that back leg? When you're ready, take that top hand to your hip crease. Can you peel open the hip? You may wobble a little bit. Flex the foot. Oh, even your yoga teacher wobbles. Reach that top arm overhead. Good, you're doing a great job. Excellent. So you're in a half moon. Take that top hand to the hip, close it on down. Bring that top leg in line with the lower leg. Shake your hips out. And then we switch sides. So that left leg goes back on the mat. You lift the foot. You square off your hips. You maybe walk that left hand forward. You can maybe even rest it even on the top of the chair if you need that, or not. Breathe in and out. Good. You're looking beautiful. Excellent. Take that top arm to the hip crease. Can you peel that hip open? Can you maybe slide the toes of that top leg towards the front of the mat? So if you look down, you could see your toes. You could maybe even wave to yourself. Reach that top arm overhead. Half moon. Gaze is the last thing to worry about. If you'd like to gaze up at those open fingertips, you can, or not. Noticing one side, you may feel a little more stable than the other. That's fine. Beautiful. Sweep that top arm down. Close the hip crease. Bring the legs back together. Good. Come on up to a standing position. Release everything out. How'd you do? Good. Good. We're going to move on to another series. Let me show it to you first so you know what to expect, and then we'll do it together. So you can keep your chair where it is. You're going to step your right leg back into a lunge pose. That back knee is straight. You're going to lift your torso. Good. You're going to keep your left hand on your hip crease. Take the right arm overhead. Take that right chest wall in the direction of that front knee. Yes. Release the top hand down to that knee for a little bit of a twist. It's a standing twist. You'll be here for a moment. Then you'll come into revolved warrior two. You bring the arms overhead for warrior one. You release the hands to the chair and we'll switch sides. Shall we do it together? Excellent. Take that right leg back into a lunge pose, heel up or down, yogi's choice. My heel will be up, so I'll come up into a crescent pose to begin with. If you prefer the heel down, that is warrior one. Good. Breathe in and out. Just find your pose. Release that left arm to the hip crease. Take the right chest wall in the direction of that front knee and release that hand down. So the right hand is on the outside of the left knee for a twist. You breathe in and out. Then you reach those arms wide for revolved warrior two. Reaching to infinity. Breathe in and out. Come on back to warrior one or crescent pose. Release the hands down. Bend that back knee, step forward. Come on up to Tadasana and we switch sides. So this time the left leg goes back. You're in a high lunge. Heel is lifted for crescent pose or it's spun down on the mat for warrior one. Lift your arms overhead, shoulders away from the ears, crescent pose or warrior one. Breathe. Slide that right hand to your hip crease. Excellent. There it is. Yes. Yes. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale. Can you take that left chest wall and turn it in the direction of your front knee? Yes, there it is. Release that arm down to the outside of the front knee for standing twist. Couple deep breaths in and out. And you take the arms wide for revolved warrior two. That looks beautiful. Yes. Couple deep breaths in and out, finding your revolve. Come on back to the center, arms overhead for warrior one or crescent pose. Release the hands. Wiggle that chair forward, plant the hands on the mat, step the front leg back to meet the back leg into downward facing dog. Find your dog pose, make it feel good. Breathing in and out. Walk your hands back towards your feet into Uttanasana, standing forward bend. You can bend your knees if you need to, wiggle your hips back and forth. Hands to your hip creases, shoulders up and back, lift from the heart space. Coming to standing pose, Tadasana. Excellent, you're doing a great job. And we're gonna be moving next into a sun salutation series. So I wanna show you the series first and then we'll do it together a few times. So it looks like this. You'll come to the front of your mat. We'll start in Tadasana mountain pose. We'll inhale the arms overhead. We'll exhale, hinge forward into Uttanasana, standing forward bend. We'll inhale halfway up with a long spine. Exhale, fold, plant the hands, step back into plank pose, the top of a push-up, toning the belly, lengthening the tailbone. We'll release down into Chaturanga. We'll lift the right leg, left leg. We'll come into baby cobra, or you can take full cobra, or you can take up dog today. Release that down, tuck the toes under, shift into downward facing dog. Walk the hands back towards the feet into Uttanasana. And then we're gonna stand up, Tadasana, and we'll start over again. Can we do it together? Sun salutation series, we'll do it a few times. So please walk to the front of your mat. Find your Tadasana mountain pose, take a look down, make sure your feet are parallel to one another, a happy distance apart, shoulders up, back and broaden. Tone the belly, lengthen the tailbone. Inhale your arms overhead, shoulders away from the ears. Exhale, swan dive forward into standing forward bend. Inhale, halfway up with a long spine. Exhale, fold. Step the right leg back, left leg back into plank pose, the top of a push-up. Take 2 breaths in. Then elbows towards the midline as you come down into chaturanga. Good. Lift the right leg, left leg, untuck the toes. You can take baby cobra or full cobra or up dog. Yes, that looks great. Release that down, tuck the toes under, press yourself back into downward facing dog. Walk the hands back towards the feet, standing forward bend. Hands to your hip creases, shoulders up and back, bend your knees. Lift to come to a standing position, Tadasana. Sweep your arms overhead, palms in front of your heart space as you walk to the front of the mat. And we repeat that again. Inhaling, arms overhead. Exhale, hinge forward into Uttanasana. 2 deep breaths. Inhale, halfway up with a long spine. Exhale, fold. Step back into plank pose, the top of a push-up. Take a couple breaths in and out here. Can you lower down as slowly as possible into chaturanga, squeezing those elbows in towards the midline? Release the right leg, left leg, untuck the toes, come up into your back bend, taking care that you're toning the belly, lengthening the tailbone, keeping a safe space for your low spine. Exhale down. Tuck the toes under. Come through plank pose into downward facing dog. Good. Walk the hands back towards the feet. Hands to the hip creases, shoulders up and back, root to rise. Coming into Tadasana, sweep the arms overhead, palms together. Come in front of your heart space. We walk to the front of the mat. Repeat one more time. Last time, your best sun salutation of the day. Inhale your arms overhead. Exhale, hinge forward into standing forward bend. Inhale, halfway up with a long spine. Exhale, fold, pause. Find your standing forward bend. Maybe isometrically take your feet and draw your feet away from one another. Take your hips up towards the ceiling. Breathe in and out. Now, can you step or jump back into plank pose, the top of a push-up? Pausing, breathing. Two more breaths in plank pose. Then you squeeze your elbows towards the midline. You come down into chaturanga. Untuck the toes. Lift up into cobra, baby cobra, or up dog. Release that down. Tuck the toes under. Press yourself back up into downward facing dog. Find your dog. Excellent. Walk your hands back towards your feet. Standing forward bend, Uttanasana. Hands to your hip creases, root to rise. Shoulders up, back, and broaden. Sweep the arms overhead. Take a mini back bend if you'd like. Then palms come together. Come in front of your heart space. We release down. And we shake it out. How you doing? Great. Excellent. Shake everything out. Noticing that things are happening around you that maybe don't affect you like a sieve. They just pass through. It's just life happening while you're going inside, seeking that inner wisdom, that pratyahara, noticing how you feel. Good. Taking a couple more deep breaths in and out. We're going to move into another lunge series. I'd like to show that series to you. You can use your chair or not. I'll use the chair for demo purposes. We're going to step the right leg back, spin the heel down for a warrior one. Lift the torso into warrior one. Good. We're going to turn out into warrior two, but then we're going to take a side angle pose. So that top arm can be overhead or can reach towards the front of the room, place where the ceiling and the wall meet. Excellent. We're going to press that hand into the chair, straighten the lower leg for a modified triangle pose. Then we're going to lift the torso, then we're going to switch sides. Ready? Shall we do it together? I'm just going to move my chair so I have a little more space. Also, if you'd like, it'd be a good idea to have a rolled up towel or blanket nearby at the back of the long end of your mat. Yeah, we'll use that later. Excellent. Good. Please come to the front of your mat in Tadasana Mountain Pose. Put your hands on your chair or on the mat. Step your right leg back into a right leg lunge. Spin the heel down. Lift the torso, arms overhead for warrior one. Now take a look at your front knee. Some of you may be able to wiggle those toes forward to get a lower warrior one, especially if your knee is jutting forward of the ankle. It tells me you need more space. Good. Reach the torso forward. Plant that hand on the chair or on the upper thigh. Open the chest for side angle pose, Utthita Parshvottanasana. Reaching with a long body from the base of the pose, the outer edge of that right heel, all the way out through the right fingertips. Good. Release that lower hand to the chair. Straighten the bent knee. Excellent. Reach the arm overhead for triangle pose. Breathe in and out. Can you be light on those lower fingertips? You may even be able to release those fingertips down. That's fine. Inhale, lift the torso. Good. And exhale, bend the knee. Come back to standing position. We're going to switch sides. So you lean forward. You step the left leg back into a left leg lunge. Spin the heel down. Lift your torso for warrior one. Reach that right arm towards the chair or towards your knee, elbow towards the knee as you open up for side angle pose, Utthita Parshvottanasana. Creating a straight line from the outer edge of that lower leg all the way out through the fingertips. Couple deep breaths in and out. Take that top arm towards the ceiling, lower arm to the chair, straighten the front leg for triangle pose. Couple deep breaths in and out in triangle pose. Good. Then please lift the torso. Good. And come on back to the center. Excellent. We're going to step our feet wide. So please bring your chair to the center or blocks to the center. You can have your blanket behind you. It's rolled up. Step your feet wide, toes pointing forward. Have your chair in front of you. I'm turning mine so that you can see me. If you'd like, you can have your chair facing you. I just want you to be able to see me. Hinge forward, place your hands on the chair. Breathe in and out. Shift your hips back. Can you come down a little bit lower? Can you maybe even come on your forearms? Melt your heart space. Couple deep breaths in and out for wide angle pose. And then I'd like you to bend your right knee. Bend your right knee. I'm in opposition to you. Then bend the left knee. Bend the right knee. Bend the left knee. Walk your hands towards you. And this time we're going to walk our hands towards the right as we bend forward a little bit more deeply and towards the left. And you maybe even can find that you don't need the chair at all. Maybe you can even take your fingertips to the floor and walk your fingertips side to side. Make it feel good for you. Come on back to the center. Melt your heart space, working on those inner thighs, making sure there's plenty of activity on the outer edges of both feet. Tone your belly, lengthen your tailbone, press your hands into the chair, lift your torso, come on back to a standing position. Heel toe those feet together, shake it out. Good. Step your feet wide again. This time I'd like you to keep your torso lifted as you bend your knees, shift your hips back, bend your knees a little bit more, shift your hips back, bend your knees, hands to your knees, breathe in and out. Can you take your hands from side to side, keeping your torso lifted, keeping your sacrum level, tone the belly? Good. Can you bend all the way forward? Keep your heart space reaching towards me, towards the front of the room. Good. Press your feet in the floor, come to standing. Shake your legs out. Woo. Excellent. Move your chair in towards the center again. You're going to bend your knees, but keep your heart space lifted. Walk your hands to the chair or to the floor. Good. Take your right hand, slide it back towards your hip crease. Thumb goes into that crease. Rotate your elbow towards the side. Walk your left hand forward on the chair. Take your left chest wall towards the right, but keep your sacrum level. And can you release that top arm? The shoulder blades are on the back. Come on back to the center. Unwind the pose, switch sides. So this time the left thumb goes into the left hip crease. You deepen the crease, squeeze that left elbow towards the back of the room. Press the right hand into the chair so you lift your heart space. Take the right chest wall towards the left side of the room. And you release that left arm so it reaches towards the back of the room, shoulder blades on the back. Breathe in and out. Come on back to the center, unwind the pose. Press your hands into the chair, straighten your legs. Good. Excellent. Now, with your knees straight, walk your hands towards me, towards the front of the chair. Good. Plant your right hand. Take your left hand to your hip crease. We're going to repeat. Elbow squeezes towards the midline. Your knees are straight this time. Draw your heart space forward. Can you release that left arm? So you're in a twist. Your gaze looks out towards that top hand. Switch sides. Plant the left hand on the chair. Right hand comes to your hip crease. Squeeze that elbow towards the midline. Draw your heart space forward. Energy out of those outer edges of the feet. Tone your belly. Now reach that right arm towards infinity. Can you take the left chest wall towards it? Good. Come on back to the center. Walk your hands towards the back of the chair. Look back at your rolled up blanket or towel. Can you walk your feet back and step your heels onto the rolled up blanket or mat with your toes facing forward? Yes. Good. Now bend your knees and come on down into Malasana. So this is a trick for working on Malasana to get your heels planted down. You breathe in and out. Malasana field hand pose. You can imagine yourself working in the fields, picking greens. Close your eyes. Maybe your elbows go to the inner edges of the knee to help open the mouth. Lift your heart space. Breathe in and out. Then when you're ready, release your hands. Come gently, gently down to a seated position. Excellent. You can remove that blanket. You can remove the chair. Knees are bent, soles of the feet on the floor. Take your fingers, turn them towards the back of the room. Lift your heart space, tone your belly, lengthen your tailbone. We're not popping our ribs, so kind of bow your ribs forward so that you're keeping a safe space for that lower back. Good. So this is a popped rib. This is really bowing those lower ribs in. Sunbather pose. Breathe in and out. Walk those hands forward a little bit. And we're going to take a mindful windshield wiper pose. So you're going to take that right leg and you're going to move from the head of the femur to open the knee out. And then the left leg, you're going to move from the head of the femur to also internally rotate that leg. Now externally rotate the left leg from the top of the hip socket. Internally rotate the right one. So we are moving from the top of the leg, switch sides, and not just moving the knees. We're physically, the action doesn't come from the knees, it's coming from the top of the hip socket. Yes, there it is. Turning the legs in and out. Just being mindful of how you're moving. Make it feel good for you. And come on back to the center, soles of the feet on the floor. Take your right ankle, cross it over top of the left knee for a seated figure four. Open that right knee out. Good. Can you walk those hands towards the front, towards the midline? Lift your heart space. Allow that leg to open out. Really good for hip opening. Release that, switch sides. Left ankle crosses over top of the right knee. You open the left knee up, and then you walk the torso towards the midline. Making sure you're not arching the spine. You're lifting the heart space, tone the belly, lengthen the tailbone. Switch sides. Right ankle crosses over top of the left knee. You open it out. You breathe in and out. You can stay here, or you can cradle that top leg like it's a baby. You're cradling your baby. Be sure not to sickle that foot. It is flexed. It's in the crook of your elbow. Release that down. Switch sides. Starting with the seated figure four. And then when your hips open up a little bit more, walking the hands towards the midline. Lift from the heart space. You cradle that lower leg, lifting up. Maybe wiggle the leg back and forth. Excellent. Release that down. I'd like you to roll all the way down with control, releasing your torso down towards the mat. Bend your knees and take a couple bridge poses. Wiggling your shoulders under your heart space, pressing your feet into the floor. Tone your belly, lengthen your tailbone as you lift your hips towards the ceiling. Back of the skull is back. Yes, that looks good. Release that down. Try that again. Can you lift your hips a little bit higher? Can you open your heart space? Tone your belly. Release that down. One more time. Bridge pose. Making sure your knees aren't splaying out to the side. They're drawing in towards the midline, kind of like you're hugging a block in between your upper thighs. Release that down. Hug your knees in towards your chest. Just roll back and forth. Maybe draw your knees forward so you can feel that massage on your sacrum, and draw them in towards your chest so the massage is on your lower back. drawing in that sense of pratyahara, what feels good for you. Maybe close your eyes and feel the action as you draw your knees towards your chest. Does that feel better for you? Or do you need to bring your knees towards the front of the room, the front of the mat? Release that, come to a place of stillness. Breathe, draw your knees in towards your chest again. Maybe give yourself 3 big hugs, knees, chest, and chin in. Release the soles of the feet to the floor. We're not quite done yet. Can you cross your right ankle over top of your left knee for a supine figure 4, just like we did before? Yes, there it is. Open that knee out. Now, can you take both knees towards the right side of the mat? Good. Shoulder blades on the floor. You'll notice if you activate that lower leg, you can get a deeper stretch out of the hip flexors. Be gentle with yourself. Be honest. Pratyahara. Go inside what really feels good for you. Come on back to the center. Uncross the legs. Switch sides. So the left ankle crosses over top of the right knee. You find that supine figure 4. And then when you're ready, you take both knees towards the left. Shoulder blades stay on the mat. You can activate that top leg. Couple deep breaths in and out. Maybe close your eyes. And come on back to the center. Uncross the legs. Take a windshield wiper. Then when you're ready, take a full body stretch. Arms and legs reaching to opposite sides of the mats. Really make it feel good for you. And then when you're ready, set yourself up for Shavasana. For some of you, you may like the classics of Shavasana with your legs resting down on the mat. If that's too much for your lower back, sometimes having a chair nearby and allowing your calves to rest on the chair, but shifting your hips so that your hips are under your knees. And then laying your torso down also feels good for your Shavasana. Find your place for your Shavasana. Find a place that feels good for you. And close your eyes or soften your gaze. And please go inside. Enjoy the depth of your Shavasana. While you're in your Shavasana, keeping your eyes closed, listen to the sound of my voice. Gently begin to release tension in your body, starting with your toes, your feet, relax your ankles, calves. Melt tension from your knees, your thighs, the backs of your upper legs, your buttocks. Relax your hips and groin. Relax your lower back. Let your belly melt into the earth. Relax your mid back, your rib cage, your upper back, your shoulders. Relax your chest, your collarbones. Relax your fingers, the backs of your hands, the centers of the palms of your hands. Relax your forearms and lower arms. Your elbows and the crook of your elbow melt into the earth. Relax your biceps and your triceps, that upper arm. Relax your shoulders, your shoulder blades. Relax your neck, your jaw, your tongue. Let your teeth gently part. Keep your lips together. Relax your cheeks, your cheekbones. Relax your nose, the bridge of your nose. Relax your ears, your temples. Let your eyes melt into the eye sockets. Relax your eyebrows, your forehead, the top of your skull, the center of the top of your skull, the back of your skull. Allow yourself to feel fully relaxed. And for the next few minutes of your Shavasana, I'll be quiet as you go inside. If you find yourself wandering away from your inner being, bring your attention back to your breath. Just set those outer distractions onto a boat and let them float by. You can pick them up later if you need to. without disturbing your sense of relaxation, your sense of stillness. Begin to deepen your breathing. Bringing energy back into the room as you begin to wiggle your fingers, your toes, your wrists, your ankles, making small movements of your body that feel good to you, allowing those small movements to gently become a little bit larger. Maybe even taking a full body stretch, a last delicious stretch before you bend your knees and roll over to one side, remaining on your side in fetal position for a few moments as you spend the last few delicious moments in that beautiful inside of yourself, seeking that inner wisdom. And then when it feels good to you, draw your knees closer to your heart space. Continue rolling to that same side. Use the strength of your hands to come back to a seated position as we did at the beginning of class. You sit well, finding a place that feels good for you, a place of stillness and fullness. Shoulders up towards your ears, then they broaden down the back. Tilt your chin, close your eyes, or soften your gaze. We've been working on Pratyahara today during our yoga practice. Pratyahara is a mindful choice to turn away from seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, smelling, in order to turn your attention inward and be aware of the deeper aspects of yourself. The invitation as you take a yoga practice off your mat and out into the world is to practice Pratyahara via non-judgment and delayed reaction. Maybe the next time your phone lights up with a notification, let it ping for a few times before picking it up. Make it a mindful act of picking it up. Maybe read that clickbait title without actually clicking on it. Or better yet, set your phone down, go outside, and take a walk and really focus on walking. Try not to make distinctions about what you see or hear. Just focus fully on the act of putting one foot in front of the other without judgment. Take a deep breath in. Exhale that. Bring your attention back to your intention. Press your palms together. Good. Bring that intention back to the forefront of your brain. Take a deep inhale in again. Exhale. Peep open your eyes. Lift the corners of your mouth to the sky. Namaste. Thank you for coming to yoga practice today. It's good to see you all.